Attention all top 5 gamers. Thanos needs your help. He's trying to fit through the door, but Thanos is dummy thick, and with the clap of his... I can't even do this. Epic Games have added the Avengers to Fortnite. Now, we've had Thanos before, so I don't want to say this is random or was even something out of the ordinary, but I definitely didn't expect to be able to play as Iron Man or a handful of the Avengers to save the universe anytime soon. It's too good to be true. Not to mention, you could be using code T5G in the item shop when purchasing cosmetics, all the while you're doing it. Welcome back to Top 5 Gaming, everyone, where today we'll be ranking the Avengers' abilities from worst to best. This list is subjective, so, of course, as always,
it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Be sure to join the Discord and like this video to create your own element like Tony Stark. Let us get into the number 5 spot. Number 5 is Captain America's shield. In the brief couple of days that the new endgame LTM has been out, we've been testing out all the abilities to see which are good and which are not so good. Our findings have been fruitful. Essentially, they're all extremely OP, but Captain America's shield is probably one of the lesser useful Avengers items out of the 4. By no means is it useless. In fact, Cap's shield can actually be super fun and a satisfying weapon to use, but when you're comparing it to the others, it doesn't quite manage to compete. For the basics, Cap's shield gives you the ability to run faster and jump higher, only while you're holding the shield though. If you unequip it to build, then that increased ability will be removed until you once again draw Cap's shield out. This speed and jump increase definitely allows you to move around a bit quicker and get to where you want to go. But once again, compared to some of the other Avengers abilities, it's not exactly the fastest. Now, the shield attack ability is fairly simple, but fun when you start hitting multiple targets. You can throw Cap's shield at enemies, and even if you don't have pinpoint accuracy, the shield will essentially home in on one of them if it's within range. If there's multiple opponents, then the shield can actually ricochet and hit multiple opponents before it flies back to you. Just yesterday, I got trapped as Thanos with 55 HP in the bunker at Salty Springs. I managed to clobber anybody that tried to come down the small gap, but out of nowhere, Cap's shield comes flying around the corner, bounces off the floor, and kills me without me ever being in the player's sights. You can also use the shield, as the name suggests, as a shield. Holding it up to the front of your face, you can charge through the gunfire without taking too much damage, or you can use it to retreat a bit more safely. Cap's shield can do a staggering 175 damage per hit, but with so little maneuverability to escape when you suddenly have the Chitauri all laser beaming you. It ends up being a superhero weapon that most players just use in an emergency when they need to block shots, preferring to switch to other superhero weapons when they're attacking. And in number 4, we've got Thor's hammer. Before we decided to do Avengers abilities ranked from worst to best, we wanted to do secrets about the Avengers LTM. There just wasn't enough to make a full video. One secret you probably didn't know is that you don't actually use Thor's weapon, Mjolnir, the hammer, but in the LTM, you used what's known as Stormbreaker, which is an axe variant that Thor also has. But getting back to the weapon itself, Stormbreaker gets the 4th place spot on today's list, as it's definitely a lot of fun and can pack a punch, but doesn't quite have the power that makes you feel safe when in a mass brawl. There's also a few hidden abilities that Stormbreaker has, so it'll be really interesting to see how many of you have discovered them already. Before we go into the attack moves, something really handy about Stormbreaker is that you can farm material like crazy, and if you're the type of player that loves to build even in an LTM filled with Avengers weapons, then just go into a house and smash everything up and you got plenty of mats in no time. Stormbreaker has a few different attack moves, but starting off, we have the ground pound. When jumping, you can perform a huge lunge attack that launches you a short distance and will cause 150 damage to anybody in its impact zone, also obliterating any structures, which means a lot of times you'll end up with loads of materials because when attacking in a building, you're also farming for a ton of mats. Once you're in a fight though, you'll most likely want to use your melee ability, swinging your Stormbreaker in a combo attack that can cause 200 damage per hit. This makes most Chitauri a 2-hit kill. The only problem is barely any of Thanos' goons stick around long enough for you to melee them, especially with those jetpacks. They pretty much always get out in time. That's why you might love the Stormbreaker's throw. You can throw this axe like a boomerang, launching it at your enemies and causing 95 damage a hit, which you may not think is that much, but because of the boomerang effect, when it comes back, it'll cause another 95 damage. Something a lot of players still haven't realized is that the Stormbreaker flies where you're aiming it. If you throw it straight forward and then turn to the left, the axe will curve to the left following your aim. Also, if you throw your axe and realize you need it back quick, you can press aim to quickly summon it back without having to wait for its full throw animation, making it better than the shield, but not quite as good as. Number 3 is Hawkeye's bow. For me personally, Hawkeye's bow is one of the safest and most fun, and more importantly, quickest ways to move around in the new LTM. I'm not gonna lie, Hawkeye's bow is probably what most players were a bit skeptical of at first. Like, we saw the boom bow, and as great as that is, Hawkeye's bow couldn't be much better, right? Wrong. A grapple bow that can attach to things almost 100 meters away, and a never-ending charge. Yep, if you're going for maneuverability, then the bow is most likely going to be your favorite. By far, it is the fastest of all the Avengers weapons for travel speed. Even if you want to be a brawler with Cap's shield or Thor's Stormbreaker, it's really useful having the bow as a backup in case you need to use that grapple to get the heck out of dodge. Damage-wise, the bow is almost overpowered, causing 200 damage per shot. You can eliminate most Chitauri in just 2 hits. And after seeing our fair share of Twitch streamers, Hawkeye's bow is slowly becoming one of the best. It also has an explosive area, so even if it's not a direct shot, even if it just hits near your target, it'll still do that 200 damage. The almost overpowered part about this bow is its damage combined with the range. You can almost guarantee a win for the superheroes when you have a Hawkeye player just camping in the distance, constantly firing at the Infinity Stone, landing locations, preventing any Chitauri from picking it up. Also good if you're wanting to try some long distance trick shots. Number 2 is the Ironman gauntlets. You guys knew this was going to be up there. Out of all the Avengers weapons, you probably may have noticed just how powerful Iron Man's repulsors are. To be honest, his damage isn't that much. In fact, it's the lowest of the Avengers weapons, dealing only 45 damage per shot. However, when you combine it with the ability to essentially fly and that your guns have a literal auto aim if you're close enough, then you're pretty much unstoppable unless you get caught by a ton of Chitauri with ridiculous aim. So on a wider scale, more people are effectively able to use this, and so it is more annoying in the way that a fly annoys you and flies around your face. Now, even though the damage is only 45 per shot, the repulsors also have a homing mechanic built into them. Get within roughly a 40-meter range of the enemy, and your crosshairs will start to lock onto the nearest opponent you're aiming at. As long as that homing mechanic is locked onto your opponent, you won't miss a single shot fired. The flying ability is really useful, but there's still a few players not using it to its full potential. You can basically use the repulsors to fly temporarily. You can even keep using that flying mechanic to keep yourself up into the air, but eventually you'll have to land and reset as you get lower with each boost. To maximize your flying, when you're about to get into battle, build yourself a mini stair sky build and initiate your first flight jump at a higher altitude. By doing this, you can fly for a ridiculous amount of time before coming back to the ground. This, combined with the repulsor's homing mechanics, is almost a guaranteed Thanos killer, and we haven't even touched the fact that combining this with Hawkeye's boy is just insanely OP. Getting back to Thanos, you can fly directly above him, continuously shooting down at him for ages most of the time. In a massive battle, Thanos won't even notice you, and you can take him out with almost no trouble at all. The only way he'll be able to reach you is with a jump and laser shot, which so far most players don't even attempt because Thanos is kind of slow, and in this game mode, I think may need a little buff. Can you imagine Thanos needing a buff? Thanos. Anyways, our honorable mention goes to Black Widow. She doesn't have any abilities, but she's an item shop, so use code T5G. Is that it? Is that really our honorable mention? Real honorable mention. The Thanos minions. Our real honorable mention is a quick rundown on Thanos' minions, or by their proper name, Chitauri. They're like bees. They have that hive mentality to serve their king Thanos, but in-game we actually get to play as them, which I don't think most people were expecting. Sure, we thought we were getting an Avengers and Fortnite crossover, but they really went all out on this LTM. To start off, you'll always have a jetpack, and this will be one of the most useful features when trying to dodge superheroes' attacks. You'll also have 2 main weapons. First is a plasma-like rifle that shoots continuously until it overheats, and we'll need a brief call down. Out of the 2 weapons, I definitely say that this is the most useful as it has pinpoint accuracy with next to 0 bloom. It'll cause up to 75 damage per shot. It'll have that damage reduced depending on the range. If it's long-based attacks, you'll be hitting shots as low as in their 20s. The second weapon, though, is essentially a plasma rocket launcher, which when playing with, gave me a massive sense of nostalgia towards the old green plasma rocket launchers from Halo. There's no reloading with either of these weapons. The plasma rifle just has a cooldown, and the plasma rocket, you can just keep on firing, although it does take a second to charge each shot. Hit enemies with this will cause a pretty hefty 100 damage, but to be honest, it takes so long, a massive amount of time to hit that a lot of times your enemies will have changed location by the time it hits. The only time it's really useful is when you have a horde of the Avengers in one location, or when the Avengers start building giant fortresses around the castles you're trying to get. And in at number 1, we've got Thanos. Now, this is the top 5 Fortnite Avengers abilities ranked from worst to best, and Thanos is technically not an Avenger, but as we all know, Thanos is an Avengers fanboy. Yep. Since Thanos' last appearance in Fortnite, he's gotten a whole new upgrade. This time he isn't at full power straight off the bat. In fact, he's actually pretty weak, and if you go fighting really early, you'll most likely die. You start off with a basic 1000 HP and 1000 shield, which does sound like a lot, but when you suddenly have Hawkeye's bow shooting at you for 200 damage a shot, you'll quickly be eliminated. If you're struggling in getting that first Infinity Stone and really want to try being Thanos, then I would advise pulling your glider as soon as you jump out of the battle bus. Just float down slowly. When the timer gets to 3 minutes, the first stone will spawn in, quickly see its landing location, and fly down to try and get there first. His standard abilities include your giant laser beam, punch combo, attack charge, will jump, and ground pound. To make Thanos the destroyer he's meant to be, though, you'll need to collect all of the Infinity Stones to give you those extra unstoppable powers. They'll spawn periodically, but not in any specific order. You could get the Time Stone first, or it could be the Reality Stone. Each one will give you a different ability, so we'll quickly go into detail on that. The Red Reality Stone grants you double shield and health, giving you a total of 4,000. Orange Soul Stone is by far one of the best stones in the game, and gives you a Siphon ability. Whenever you kill an enemy, it'll restore 300 of your shield, and the only thing it doesn't affect is your health, so you have to be careful of that. But in all honesty, I wouldn't take Thanos into a heavy battle until you get the Soul Stone. Otherwise, you will have everyone attacking you with no way to get your shield back. The Yellow Mind Stone grants you double the jump height. Something most players haven't noticed yet is that this new and improved Thanos has a charge jump. You can hold down jump to charge it up, and it can allow you to jump extremely high, like higher than any building. The Blue Space Stone triples the size of the ground pound and turns your meager 100 damage into a player killing 600 damage. When you get this stone, it's pretty much one punch KOs for the rest of the game. The Green Time Stone will triple the damage on your punch combos, while also adding a big knockback effect. And for our final stone, we have the Purple Power Stone, and this is by far definitely one of the most underrated stones at the moment. In the original Infinity Gauntlet LTM, his laser was pretty weak, causing the 50 damage per hit. Now, to be fair, that's still the same today, but if you get the Power Crystal, you'll have your damage increased by 6-fold. You'll be lasering people for 300 damage per shot. That's an insane amount of damage. Considering it damages every few milliseconds, the laser beam is going to be your best tool for taking out those annoying Ironman repulsors users who won't come down to the ground. And if you ever just get stuck as Thanos while all the Avengers sit up on the mountain shooting down at you, just remember about that new charge jump. Overall, the game mode is a lot of fun. We're enjoying it, and we'll have new videos about it coming on Sunday. Thanks for watching, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.